And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host smAsho, aka Dan. Today we're talking about our mission, Galactic Scale Magnetism, Sunspot 2765, and tornado watches. Let's start things out first by looking at a 48-hour video from the SDO of the Sun. It's 94 angstroms. Green means go, and it's go time for the daily space weather. Sunspot 2765 is an alpha-class sunspot. It doesn't have very complex magnetism. There's not a lot of mixing going on. There is a bit of potential. And here we see the LASCO C2 from the SOHO spacecraft. A bit of a coronal mass ejection coming out of the western limb there, while Venus swings behind the coronagraph disk. And here it is on the LASCO C3. By the way, the reason Venus's brightness varies so much is because when Venus is at opposition, it has a phase, because Venus basically has a light side and a dark side. And so when Venus passes in between the Earth and the Sun, we don't see a bright Venus. We see basically a ring that turns into a crescent Venus. And by the way, we are streaming live to Twitch. It's twitch.tv/smAsho. Some good news about the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. It is back up, although we still do not see any X-ray imagers. So they've also updated their solar cycle progression forecasts on the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. Let's talk about our mission, because we haven't talked about it for a long time. You can share it with your friends and your foes if you like. It's smashamash.com/forum/mission. We've put this file there for you, just in case you were wondering. It's to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics. As various aspects of science are constantly getting rewritten, there are some very, very interesting new phenomena, new tools in the cosmic toolbox. And we're helping to make that to be more common knowledge. Also, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects. Also, to connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach. Hence our collaborations and our YouTube and BitChute channels and other websites to demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems. There's no problem that can't be solved, folks. Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's life, there's hope. Number 5 is to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, including but not limited to spectroscopy, chemistry, astrophysics, health, wellness, longevity, cosmology, biology, magnetohydrodynamics, geology, etc. Number 6, to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon in order to optimize value and reduce risk and liability and save lives and resources and adapt no matter what the adversity is. And lastly, to do real science and not be ossified in our beliefs, and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. Sometimes it takes a long time for people's brains to catch up with the new science. So anyway, share our mission at smashamash.com/forum/mission. Also consider becoming a patron if you wish to support the mission and help us to advance as per our goals. We are also on PayPal, on Subscribestar. All those links are below the video. Again, thanks for viewing the smAsho stream, whether you're viewing it live on Twitch or you're viewing it on perhaps BitChute. Thanks to all our subscribers over there, as well as to new and old loyal subscribers over on YouTube. Next we'll look at helioviewer.org. Here are the fields. An active region in the north, not a sunspot, but down there in the southeast, indeed, Sunspot 2765 is a sunspot. Here's the 304 angstroms view, and here's the fade to orange. One of my favorite colors, and indeed I'm wearing it today. Next, we're going to look at 193 angstroms. It's another SDO 48-hour movie. And some more great views of that sunspot, as well as a significant coronal hole there in front of that plage in the north associated with the North Solar Polar Field coronal hole. And by the way, those are persistent. We won't get into the physics of it in this episode. But let's just say the solar polar coronal holes are interesting. Next, we've got some custom helioviewer movies of Sunspot 2765. Here it is in 304 angstroms for the past 24 hours. And here is the 171 angstroms view, my personal favorite. Again, it's a 24-hour custom helioviewer.org movie. Check out helioviewer.org to make your own. Don't take my word for it. And looking at the KP index, it is still at 1, having been at 1 for over the past 24 hours. 10.7 centimeter radial flux, still at 70 solar flux units. And let's talk cosmology for a quick moment. In today's cosmology segment, some interesting articles today to talk about, and that's part of what's in the title. We're talking about galactic scale magnetism. First, let's talk about the early universe, surprising finds, and star formation. Yes, now, it's believed that the universe is just over 13 billion years old, so when we look at very far distant regions of the universe through things like the Hubble Space Telescope, it's widely believed that we're looking at objects from the beginning of the universe. However, the observations don't back up any of those hypotheses. So the Big Bang is it's on its way out in terms of people attributing it to the way the universe formed. Chances are we'll never figure out how the universe formed. We've never seen a star form. We've never seen a star die. So the entire HR diagram is likely completely incorrect. So this is about population 3 stars, which are believed by mainstream astronomers to be made solely out of hydrogen, helium, and lithium. The only elements that, quote, existed before the processes in the cores of these stars could create heavier elements such as oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, and iron. We've never seen the core of a star create any heavy elements, but we have seen lab experiments such as SAPPHIRE suggesting that heavy elements can be made in the atmospheres of stars, throwing the entire theory of gravitational accretion forming stars and solar systems and galaxies on its head. Anyway, they found no evidence of these first-generation population 3 stars in that cosmic time interval, which utterly refutes the Big Bang once again. So, perhaps read that article. It's on phys.org, and we're staying on phys.org today. There is any observational evidence that heavy elements come out of the cores of stars. Survey said? I know, right? Now let's talk about the Murchison Wide Field Array in Midwestern Australia. Well, they've made some interesting studies here about the magnetic fields of, long-sought tiny explosions that superheat the sun's corona. So it's a radio telescope, and what it's doing is it's very precisely measuring the radio output of the sun's corona. And so once again, another explanation for how the corona gets so much hotter than the surface is that tiny magnetic explosions should collectively have enough energy to heat the corona, which is exactly what's needed for solving the coronal heating problem. So as the plasma orients to the magnetic fields, tiny little explosions happen out there. So if you want to read that article, it's also on phys.org. And let's talk about the magnetic fields on a larger scale here, the ones at the core of the galaxy. Now keep in mind, when you're looking at the galactic plane, Sagittarius A star is at an angle. Its poles are actually coming out something like this. Significant angle there, as opposed to perpendicular to the galactic plane. So it's not like this, particularly the polar fields of Sagittarius A star. But what is very interesting are the magnetic fields. So the magnetic fields apparently, just bear with me one moment here. More research is needed to understand the magnetic field's role at the center of the galaxy and how the strong forces fit in with gravity. However, the preliminary results can enhance our understanding of at least 2 long-standing fundamental questions about star formation and massive radio source, otherwise known as black hole activity in the galactic center region. Even though there's plenty of raw material to form stars, the star formation rate is significantly lower than expected. Additionally, the massive radio source known as Sagittarius A star at the core of the galaxy, it's relatively quiet compared to those at centers of many other galaxies. The strong magnetic field could explain both. It could keep the black hole from swallowing the matter it needs to form jets and also suppress the birth of stars. So, perhaps magnetic fields explain what's going on in there. Perhaps this is a step in the right direction. A third article in a rare 3phys.org article day. And let's look at the transients of Sagittarius A star. We have some interesting transients to cover in a minute. There are the X-ray emissions from Sagittarius A star. And you can see it's in a fairly normal range here. There's the dailies, and there's the average, just over nothing. And no real surprises there. Let's look at the Crab pulsar, just as a reference. Not the carb pulsar, that's causes lots of inflammation. That's bad for you. The carb pulsar. So here's the Crab pulsar. And it is in a fairly normal range here too. The Crab pulsar is the most significant, super consistent X-ray source in the sky. And lastly, we're going to look at something that I regularly look at, Cygnus X3, otherwise known as Deneb, celestial pole star, tail of the swan in the constellation Cygnus. Also the most bright intrinsic object visible from Earth, has in the past, about 6 days ago, produced this insane transient. And that's probably the densest outburst I've seen from Cygnus X3. Now, Cygnus X3 is a massive X-ray binary consisting of a Wolf-Rayet star, a blue supergiant, which is so big that if it was in our solar system, we would be inside of it. It would be about the size of Mars's orbit. And it's being orbited by a massive radio source, creating a massive disk of ionized gas and dust in between the Wolf-Rayet star and the massive radio source. And one of those jets from that radio source are pointed directly at Earth, at the Sun, at our system. And one of the only known point sources for cosmic ray flux, Cygnus X3, massive X-ray binary. And let's move on to talk about the solstice. Where will you be on June 20th at 5:43 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time? Well, we'll be streaming live to Facebook, to Twitch, and to YouTube for our Solstice Stream 2020. We are going to be featuring all kinds of new formats as time progresses throughout the year of 2020. We have created a VoIP line. If you would like to call or text us, use 610-936-9799, country code 1. So +1 610-936-9799. Give us a ring. And by the way, if you'd like to set up a VoIP phone of your own, I like to use Talkatone. I'm not paid to say this. Talkatone.com. You can download it for your Android or Apple device and add another phone line for whenever you have internet access. Let's get back to looking at data. Here's where stuff is, just coming off a full moon. There's where things will be in a week as we approach the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, or opposition, or whatever the heck it's called. Next, looking at 4:20 a.m. at in-the-sky.org to see the moon setting, Jupiter and Saturn up near their apex on the ecliptic, and Mars also. If you're able to get up before it's light, you should see those objects. GOES X-ray flux doesn't show any B-class flares or anything like that since the second 2 days ago. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some minor flaring coming out of that sunspot. There is some possibility that it could turn into a beta class as it is being trailed by a North Pole field. Proton flux isn't showing anything interesting at all. Quite flatlined there, no surprises. Let's look at the real-time solar wind next. And we did see a big precipitous drop-off of the solar wind density here, starting at about 18:15 universal time and lasting until about 23:43. We saw the solar wind density drop to less than a proton per cubic centimeter here. It got as low as 0.17. That's the lowest reading I see. But it's pretty tough to figure that out. Anyway, we recently saw a shift in the BT-BZ. They both converged on the 0 line there, an indication of fairly equivalent north versus south pole. And the BT, which is the black line there, quite close to baseline at 0. Solar wind density has recently ramped up a bit. Looks like a coronal hole wind stream. Solar wind density currently around 11 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed still very low at 310 kilometers a second. Here's a geospace magnetosphere movie. It's 4 hours of data. And let's let that play through. And if we would have caught this when that solar wind density dropped down to less than 1, you would have seen practically all the pressure vanish. And today we'll just show the pressure because there's nothing too exciting to look at on the other panes, which include velocity and density. So a little uptick in the pressure, you see it kicking in there. That's the increase in the solar wind density. Here are the ground magnetic perturbations during this polar excursion. While we have 2 geomagnetic north poles and a geomagnetic south pole that's crept into the Indian Ocean off of the Antarctic continent. Let me move that back to where it was because we want to keep the video as short as possible. We're shortening it up a little bit today. Anyway, there's that 4 hours of data. Nothing too exciting going on there. Here's the GOES magnetometer. And we are solidly in the North Pole oriented current sheet here, shown in green. There's the data from Gong 2, part of the National Sunspot Observatory. Keep in mind the data is 1 hour and 38 minutes old. There is still a possibility of a coronal mass ejection about to be released because there is a big plume of plasma in between chromosphere and corona right now. So really it's in the corona. So that could release any time. We looked at it yesterday on the Integrated Space Weather Analysis Stereo A Core 2 Space Weather Beacon. And here's a line of sight field plot. And I would expect us to remain in the North Pole current sheet for the foreseeable future, at least for the next few days, as Sunspot 2765 rotates through. Electron flux is very low. There's the greater than 2 mega electron volt electron flux over the past year. And here is the past 3 days from the GOES, greater than or equal to 2 mega electron volt electron flux. And we're expecting to see this remain very low. Here's a total electron content forecast. And you can see nothing getting above about 30 in terms of electrons per meter squared. So expect your GPSs to be working well. Next, the ionosphere. We see some anomalies there, nighttime discharge events over the past 6 hours. You can see that all turn red. Very discharged ionosphere at that moment. And there comes that big time charge down. And when you see those red blobs, that means that the F layer is not an F2 layer, but just an F layer. So the yellow is F2, and so on. Double layers are created because of sunshine. Anyway, here's the latest image. That one coming in at 8:15 Universal Time, looking quite normal there. Earthquake rundown. Looks like the largest quake of the past 24 was a 5.9 at Tonga at 90 kilometers depth. We did see a quake strike California as well. We'll get to it. Check it out, a 5.7 struck Indonesia at a depth of 641 kilometers. If that happened at the surface, that would be nearly a magnitude 7 quake. Let's hope they don't see a magnitude 7 quake there, as that is tsunami country. Deep quake in between Japan and Russia, south of the Kamchatka Peninsula and north of Japan. Actually closer to Japan than Russia there, probably. And here's a very deep quake at the Philippines, this one nearly 600 kilometers depth and a 4.2 magnitude. And there's that 5.5 in California. Let's see what's up with that. very close to the Naval Air Warfare Center China Lake facility. And we've seen quite a bit of activity there, both north and west of the Mojave Desert, which is where this one happened. Looks like it might have been felt in Bakersfield. Please leave a comment if you felt the quake. And next, back to the list here, a bunch of aftershocks striking the California area. Let's move on to volcanoes. It looks like a bit of a downtick in volcanic activity. Mount Aso still erupting, flight level 6,000 there. No volcanic ash cloud observed at Sangay. Please do not use that as an invitation to do a back handspring over the caldera. It could be hazardous to your health. And Nevados de Chilean still exploding. Sporadic emissions producing a flight level of 13,000. Are you made in China? Have you learned how to say China like Trump? Like you have a sinus infection? Come on, everybody, say it. Take a deep breath. China. Breathe through the nose. To increase your nitric oxide content in your blood. And in turn, your oxygen levels in your blood. Through the nose. Then say China and touch your face. It's therapeutic. China. You've survived a global pandemic so far. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be watching the video. Please leave a comment if you're viewing the video from the other side, plane of existence, multiverse, solar system, spaceship, galaxy, etc. Let's talk about the 3 ways the lockdowns paved the way for riots. Oh, yeah. And well done, Ryan McCacken. McCacken. So, guess who could be blamed for riots? The government. Why is everybody blaming everybody else instead of the government for all of this stuff? The lockdowns, the mask wearing, and the riots are all a result of the executive branch of government. By far the most costly. Executive branches don't even make laws. They're supposed to enforce the laws. What a breakdown of the system of checks and balances and separation of powers. Anyway, the lockdowns created an economic disaster. They destroyed social institutions such as schools, churches, coffee shops, bars, libraries, barber shops, etc. It's all government-induced, folks, and they also empowered the police state. They've worsened a volatile situation. Once again, government, the only non-essential business. And just like that, bang, everybody posts a black square on Tuesday, and racism is cured. Well done, COVIDiots. Please leave a comment if you think COVIDiots will be the word of the year. Please leave a comment if you have some ethics. Did you see our video yesterday? Terms defined. The diamond anvil too hard to smash. Ethics. If you enjoy the content, please don't forget to press like and subscribe over on YouTube. Share with your friends. Share with your foes. Perhaps view our related content. Our latest edition is Eugene the Philosopher, but we are also featuring Sky Scholar, Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Solar Dynamics Observatory, and Tony Heller, statistical genius. Tony, give me a call. We'll come on the show. We'll get you on the show. Also, if you haven't checked out smashomash.com/forums, smashomash.com/forum, singular, it's got multiple forums within the forum. And I just wanted to note to everybody that we've got a dream log. If you'd like to make a record of your dreams and share the strange dreams with... By the way, everybody should keep a dream log. So if you've got dreams you'd like to make public, head to smashomash.com/forum and tell us about it. Also, get ready for our 3C405 Cygnus A Massive Radio Galaxy TV, not a TV, a T-shirt. That's what it's going to look like. Although it is going to have a starry background, one consistent with Cygnus. In fact, it'll be the real image with the radio image superimposed on it, just to make it a little bit more obvious that you're looking at a radio image of galactic jets in space. So we'll be offering that to our spaced out viewers, probably for somewhere around around $25 plus shipping. Because we don't have a merch affiliate yet, please leave a comment if you've got ideas for affiliates, as we are looking for sponsors for the daily space weather videos especially. Next, looking at weather.gov, and we see all kinds of warnings, including tornado warnings, flash flood warnings, flooding warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. Anyway, weather.gov, if you want to see that map yourself, click on your county, read all about it. Next, we're looking at nullschool.net to look at the jet streams. They're the jet streams of the east, and I would say that in the south, they are really all over the place. They're doubled up, tripled up. Check out this zone right here. Quite odd indeed, folks. Here are the jets of the west, and we're looking at flight level 25,000 here, and we've got some absolutely backward jet stream here. You can see the jet stream is flowing east to west in that region. And look at the extreme bends, 180-degree turns here, doubled up jet streams. Extreme meridional jet stream flow is causing all of your weird weather, not carbon dioxide. Next, we'll look at windy.com's pressure maps. We'll let this advance via the GFS forecast to see where we expect pressure to be. Let me zoom out. Something happened, folks. Please let me zoom out. All right, there we go. We'll let this advance via the GFS forecast about 24 hours. Low pressure system approaching Western Canada and then stagnating on the coast, it looks like. There's where things will be at noontime Eastern Daylight Time. Leave us a comment, new viewers. Let us know where you're located. Perhaps we'll do custom weather forecasts for you. I'm located in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Let's look at water vapor maps for Europe and Africa. There are those. How about the Far East and Oceania? There are those water vapor maps. Continuing on to lightningmaps.org, and we see quite a bit of lightning. Lightningmaps.org, next time you hear thunder. smAsho staff viewed it yesterday, and by the way, consider becoming a patron and give smAsho staff a raise. Were you aware that smAsho staff earns 25% of all of our Patreon proceeds? So please consider contributing. We've got 2 tiers over there, so check it out, patreon.com/smAshomash. Patrons get the info first, and they get some other perks as well. Let's zoom into misery. Kansas City, there's thunder rolling in. But you are just past the crosshairs. Places like Columbia, probably in the crosshairs. So yeah, check out lightningmaps.org. It'll show you where the lightning strikes are happening in real time. It is a real-time lightning map, folks. And there's the storms that are spawning all that lightning. We've got 2 major cells there, combining into one over northern Missouri, as well as heavy rains in Florida. Shout out to Mothra. Please have your kayak ready if you're going to be washed away down there in Oviedo. Next, looking at the water vapor map, give you a better idea of what's going on up there. And let me just check the chat. No chats. And there's a serious atmospheric lake forming in this region. Let's watch those giant floating lakes combine. Very interesting interactions there between the most moistened portions of the atmosphere. Now keep in mind, dry air is more massive than moist air. And that is an odd one. That's going to cause those areas to stagnate there for a bit, as there's not a lot of force pushing that to the east. Thanks, Smash Team, for tuning in. Remember, Don't forget to share the videos on your social media. Tell your friends, tell your foes, tell your science nerds, tell your science noobs. Tell them there's a sunspot, perhaps. There it is, 2765, and we see an umbra forming behind it, and that's the one that I was talking about potentially causing this to become a beta-class sunspot. I'll go out on a limb and forecast some C-class flares when this thing continues to rotate into a more Earth-facing zone. There are the fields. And nope, that's not going to become a beta class because that umbra is, I believe, the same. Yep, that's the same polarity as the leading umbra there. So no expectation of that becoming a beta class sunspot. But let's keep an eye on it. And when I say ion, oh well, the pun is intentional. Next, we're looking at 131 angstroms before we close this thing out. Allow me to get out. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink it. If you do, don't drive it. Since it'll never be now again, welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Please help to support us. Visit the links below the video to our social media as well. We put up exclusive content in most places. And try not to stagnate. We're on Twitter, we're on Gab, we're on Minds, Instagram, all over the internet. Again, thanks for watching. Look for more content coming soon. And may that solar wind be at your back.